Okay, I'm starting chapter 12. I'm going from pages 230 or page 233 to page 240. And since a lot of this is what happened during the actual war, maybe I can get through this a little more quickly tonight. We know that once we declare war, our first goal is to try to invade and capture Canada from the British. We are unsuccessful in doing that, and the next major event of the war is going to be the burning of Washington, which of course we just built, and the attempted capture of Fort McHenry, where Francis Scott Key was imprisoned on a ship in near Baltimore and wrote the Star-Spangled Banner when the Americans are defending Fort McHenry from possible takeover by the British. Last major event is going to be the Battle of New Orleans, where the Americans are going to soundly defeat the British. However, the peace treaty had already been signed, and Jackson doesn't know that at the time. However, his winning that battle is going to be a real ego boost and make him extremely popular, which is going to help get him elected president in a few years. The actual treaty was negotiated in Ghent, Belgium, Ghent. The leader of the group, John Quincy Adams, is going to go on and be Secretary of State under James Monroe and have much success as Secretary of State. This is the son of John Adams. But while the treaty is being negotiated, we also have this event occurring in New England that kind of is foreshadowing for the idea that states can leave the Union. And this is the Hartford Convention. This is really after the end of the War of 1812. The Federalist Party is going to die out, and we're not going to be talking about it anymore. And part of it is because of their support at the Hartford Convention. New England is extremely bitter, of course, by being dragged into the war. Their trade has been hurt for 5 or 6 years now as a result of the embargo and now the war. And so they meet together and they send this list of demands to Washington, D.C., and basically say, if Congress doesn't agree to these demands, we're going to secede and get out of the country, get out of the Union. Their list of demands included, they wanted the government to pay them money that they had lost because of trade restrictions, the embargo, the war, all of that. They wanted constitutional amendments added that would require a 2/3 vote of Congress prior to placing an embargo, admitting a new state, or declaring war. All of these things, of course, New England resented. Congress had done all of these, of course. And new states are being added in the West. New England's not going to go any further west because we lose Canada or rather, we don't lose Canada. Canada remains in the hands of the British. So they want more than just a simple majority. They want a 2/3 vote before Congress can pass any law doing any of those three things. They want to abolish the 3/5 compromise. They want to limit presidents to one term. And, interestingly, they want to prohibit consecutive presidents from the same state. If you look at our first presidents, Washington's from Virginia, Adams, Massachusetts, Jefferson's Virginia, Madison's Virginia. And so we definitely see a pattern here. Part of the problem being, of course, we only had 13 states to start with. We've grown some, but the chances of a president coming from one of those original 13 states multiple times is pretty good. These were not, of course, granted. And the treaty is signed and the war's ended before these even arrive in Congress. So by the time Congress gets them, it's like New England's being petty. They are, we've already won the war's over, and not really taken seriously. And because of these rather extreme demands, they are going to, this kind of guarantees the end of the Federalist Party, and part of it is because we've won the war and we come out with this extreme period of nationalism. The Treaty of Ghent, which ended the War of 1812, really no territory was exchanged. Everything remained at pre-war in terms of possession of land. We didn't lose any land. We didn't gain any land. So we just agreed to an armistice. We just agreed to stop fighting. Nothing really changed. So results of the war, sometimes the War of 1812 is called our Second War of Independence. We're fighting Britain, who was the most powerful country in the world at the time. We didn't really outright win, but we didn't lose either. And so the fact that it was a stalemate can be looked at as a sort of victory. But it kind of guaranteed our place in the world, that the United States was around to stay. We were not going to be taken back over by the British, or we were not so weak that we couldn't defend ourselves, which would prevent someone like France or possibly Spain from attempting to come back in and reclaim territory for themselves. We have this huge period of nationalism after the war. We can do anything. We've fought a second war against Britain. We've remained intact, and we see this short period of nationalism. Andrew Jackson becomes the national hero, into the Federalist Party, and once again the natives are forced to surrender large amounts of land to the Americans. So that pattern is going to remain the same until the frontier is declared closed in 1890. So the War of 1812, not very long, one of those wars we really didn't have to fight. We kind of talked ourselves into it, and no real hard results other than this ego boost, America's around to stay, and especially the popularity of Andrew Jackson are going to lead us into our next period of American history, the era of good feelings.